I've restored the original version of HandDrawnCharacters.ai, and it contains a multicolor image that I created inside of Photoshop. Now, in a previous exercise, I showed you how you can go ahead and trace that image by clicking on the Live Trace button. Basically, you just cross your fingers and hope for the best. After tracing the image, you have access to a few options up here in the control panel. If you want more control over your traced artwork, then you go over to this little dialog box icon, click on it, and then you have a variety of additional settings that you can apply. After modifying the settings, you click on the Trace button. Now, we'll come back to how these settings work in a future exercise. For now, I'm just going to cancel out, because there's a few other ways to approach tracing inside of Illustrator. I'll go ahead and press Control-Z, Command-Z on the Mac, so I reinstate my original untraced image. Another thing you can do, if you want to bring up the dialog box right off the bat, you can click on this down-pointing arrowhead right next to the Live Trace button and choose Tracing Options. And that way, you can specify exactly what tracing settings you want to apply. For example, you could say, no, I don't want to trace with black and white. I want to trace my image in color. And let's say I want to trace 12 colors just to start things off. And then I'll click on the Preview button in order to see what I've done. And it might take a few moments to apply the preview, but eventually you'll see what your traced artwork is going to look like, and then you click on Trace. All right, I'm going to cancel out. That's another way to work, but I want to reinstate my original image here. You can also click this down-pointing arrowhead and choose a preset. For example, Comic Art is ideally suited to this artwork here because it will not only trace the letters in black and white as opposed to color, but it'll also trace them with a threshold setting of 200. That exact same threshold setting that we applied in the previous exercise, and that way we'll keep all of the text and drop out all of the background. As you can see, as soon as I choose Comic Art, all lines of type are intact. So again, that's an ideal setting, assuming that we don't want to retain the color inside of the illustration. I'll press Control-Z or Command-Z again to reinstate that image. Another way to work is to press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and click on the Live Trace button. And if you do that, then you'll go ahead and trace all of your artwork using static path outlines. So notice, if I twirl open the image layer, that I no longer have that image available to me anymore. I don't have a Live Trace object either. Instead, I've got this group of path outlines. And notice that I went ahead and lost that one line of type. Well, what if you want to go directly to path outlines like this? It's unlikely that you do, but let's say you want to go direct to path outlines, and you want to work with a higher threshold setting so that you retain that one line of type there. Well, I'll press Control-Z, Command-Z on the Mac to once again undo the Live Trace feature, and I'll press and hold the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac, click the down-pointing arrowhead, and choose Comic Art. And that way, I will automatically apply the Comic Art settings and create static path outlines all at once, as you see me doing right here. And so this way I end up preserving each and every line of type. So a few different ways to work here when you're applying the Live Trace feature. In the next exercise, I'm going to show you how to compare the Live Trace vectors to the original pixel-based image so you can gauge the accuracy of your results.